How's that?
Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Good, good. Bruce, a weird game. The Oilers lose 4-3 to the Dallas Stars. There's kind of a good feeling at the end of it because in his third time lucky homecoming, Sam Gagner puts on quite a show and actually shows the Oilers how to something kind of significant about how to get things done in the game of hockey that this team has been lacking all this season.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't necessarily lacked it in the past, but has been completely lacking it in this season, and that's go hard to the net and work your butt off. This team is
Mm-hmm.
lacking in both work ethic and more than anything else, mental ethic, mental smarts. Bruce, they're killing themselves with mental errors. They did so again tonight against Dallas. Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast, plus one conundrum. We will do two bad things each, though, because it was a pretty, other than the spurt at the end of the game, which was really exciting and left a good taste in my mouth about the whole game. Other than that, it was really rancid, the game. So we'll do two bad things each. What's your good thing, though?
Yeah, I got to go back to Evander Kane. I think that guy's playing his ass off out there for the Oilers. Really hard. I mean, he did take a penalty, and of course, the penalty kill failed to kill it off. But so there's that. But he had a goal and assist, 2 points. Plus one, 6 shots on net, 15 shot attempts, 15 shot
Amazing.
attempts, four more hits. And he was all over the score sheet and mostly, but not entirely in a good way. And he's been all over the score sheet for a number of games in a row now. He's bringing it and he's laying it out there. Ever since I wrote that post about him, I think maybe he read it, or maybe I had really bad timing for writing a critical post. But he's been strong ever since. Like this is like 5 good games in a row for him since the Winnipeg game.
Well, he's a
And
proud man, eh? He's a
yeah,
proud
oh
man.
yeah,
Maybe
well,
you did
oh
read the
yeah.
post.
Well, he needed to bring it, and he started to bring it, and he's bringing it more than pretty much any other Oiler at this point in time.
He really is, Bruce. We were both down on him. We both made negative comments on the podcast. And man, he has turned it around. Uh, Nazem Kadri says the puck doesn't like you to Kane, but the puck's starting to like him pretty good. He made a really nice play. My good thing is Sam Gagner. And on Gagner's second goal off the faceoff, Kane kind of stick handled very nicely up the ice to set up Gagner on that goal. No, he is such a ferocious player, and he's getting full value for his money right now. He is leading this team. He's trying to pull this team up almost single-handedly and give them the kind of energy that they need and the smarts that they need. I don't know. That penalty was kind of a weak penalty too. Like his stick got in there, it didn't even affect the other player much. I mean, um,
I didn't
Kane
on his
dropped
hands
it.
though,
Yeah, he did. It's like it's a
and
penalty, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was this marginal penalty, and
yeah,
anyway, he took it, and they of course they couldn't kill it off because Oilers 2023-24 version, they can't get anything right. But Bruce, here's something they got right that I didn't think they were going to get right. My good thing, when they signed Sam Gagner this summer, I just thought, no way. He's what 34. He's coming off double hip surgery. No way. This is not going to happen. The last time he was here, he was okay, but he didn't seem like what this team needed. They needed a center who could win some faceoffs and play strong defensive hockey. They probably still need that on their fourth line. But so Gagner didn't fit any of those, check off any of those boxes. He's kind of another smaller skill winger who's been injured and was slowing down. And I just thought, I don't know. But the word was when he got to Bakersfield that what he said was he needed that surgery, and he's feeling and skating better than he has in years, is what he said. And that's exactly how he looked. Bruce, he looked like the first version of Sam Gagner in this game, at least. And he was tearing it up in the AHL. but he looks faster and better skating than he did in his last stint in Edmonton. He was moving really well out on the ice. He's never been the fastest player, but he has been agile, and particularly agile when he has the puck. And tonight he did that. He was in a number of nice plays even before he scored the 2 goals. But it's the 4-2 goal, which is the play that they should just go to the film room tomorrow and watch that 500 times, because that's a pretty much of a nothing play. Puck gets thrown at net, and first Kane barges in there really hard, and he's smashing around for the puck, and then Gagner just explodes on the goalie, and it forces that puck in the net. He out muscles the goalie, out battles everybody, pushes that puck in the net just with a hunger to score that we frankly haven't seen too much from the Oilers this year. It's been just such a strange version of the Oilers so far. It's a bad nightmare. But that's the example that the Oilers needed set, and Sam Gagner set it.
Yeah, I need a few more followers, or maybe you needed to set a little bit earlier in the game. It seemed like the Oilers missed about 8 one-foot putts in this game, where it seemed like it's going to be a sure goal. They just have to tap it in. Nope. Either Wedgwood would make an emergency save, which he made more of than our guy, or the Oiler would somehow fail to make contact with the puck or get anything on the shot, just shovel it into him. And it was the lack of finish, man, oh man, brutal.
Bruce, I don't think I've ever seen Leon Draisaitl struggle this much on the attack as in this game. I mean, he had all kinds of plum chances to get off his dread executioner shot, and he was fanning on it, missing the net. Leon's been hands down their best player this year, I think, up until this game. But I've seen him and criticized him for having bad defensive games. That's not uncommon. I don't think I can recall him having an off night on the attack. He's just always seemingly good with the puck. And when he gets those chances, he's money. But no, not tonight. He just couldn't get anything going on. And I don't know what it is, but anyway, it is what it is. Bruce, let's move on to our bad things. What's your first bad thing?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with the game, what turned out to be the game-losing goal against that made it 4-1 early in the third period. And in fact, it just made the deficit slightly too big to come back on a tired Dallas team that was playing their third game in 4 nights. It ran out of gas last night in Calgary, barely hung on to win. And instead of bearing down on them, really earlier in the game, but early in the third period, the Oilers had a close-in chance at the net, and Draisaitl couldn't get anything on his shot, and the puck went into the corner. And then Dallas came back on the counterattack, and Connor McDavid, he's about 8 feet behind Joe Pavelski to start from their own territory. And we're talking about Joe Pavelski, second oldest guy in the league. What is he now, 200 years old? And, he's not there for his burning speed. Let's put it that way.
He's Old Testament.
Connor McDavid comes back on him, and about center. He's about 2 feet behind him by center, and then he can see in front of him. It's a 3-on-2. He's the third Oiler. All he's got to do is take Pavelski. All he has to do, and he's right next to him, and he stops skating and he just coasts back, and Pavelski keeps skating and he stays in front of him. Sure enough, puck goes to Pavelski. Sure enough, perfect pass through the slot, tap in goal for Dallas. And I'm sorry, Connor McDavid. Everybody talks about how much your defense is improving. That was terrible. He just kind of, I don't know if he quit on the play or he just stopped thinking. He certainly stopped skating. And, you look at the score sheet, you can say it cost him this game.
Yeah, maybe he thought he had him. It was, you made a funny comment.
Catch Joe Pavelski. I think he's playing with something. But whatever it is, he can still skate. And he just stopped on that play. And it was a crucial play. It was a critical play that ended up being the game losing goal against in a 1-goal regulation loss. Like those are the worst goals of all to give up, right?
Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be McDavid's legs. And maybe he's a little short on wind right now. I don't know. But man, that was just, I hate that play where the guy comes back hard. Well,
Hmm.
he was a little slow in the back check, first of all, right? And then he
Originally, but then he
realized it.
was, yeah, he
Then he realized
realized,
he
and then
got
he
on his
stopped
horse and he got back
realizing.
in play. If he had just skated hard for another 1 second, he would have been on
Yeah.
the right side of his man. And
Hmm.
I hate it when they do that.
Yeah.
They stop, they come back, and then just as about to get on the right side of the attacking player, they stop skating and they start
I
coasting.
I wrote in our scoring chance log too. It was the old Mark Messier special.
Yes, they
Skate to
did.
catch up to the guy, and then
So
stop.
common. It's something that they like very like really good defensive teams, Bruce, super
Hmm.
disciplined defensive teams and defensive coaches will drill it into players. You do not do that. You
No.
you and you see them just back check like crazy, just like crazy. The first time I ever saw that, I've brought this up before on the podcast, was the first time I ever saw the New York Islanders live in Edmonton in the early '80s.
Hmm.
Just a fantastic disciplined hockey team, and I remember seeing Bossy, Gillies, and Trottier on the ice, the best line in the NHL, maybe at that time. I was just gobsmacked by their back check. I had never seen people hustle like that on the back check. As soon as they lost the puck, as hard as they could, all three of them came back as hard as they could. And it left it obviously an indelible image in my head, which I have been craving to see on some Edmonton Oilers team. And I think we've seen it now and then with certain teams and certain lines. You know, the 2006 Oilers team in the playoffs really back checked like that. They were really hustling hard. Um, we've never seen it in the McDavid era, except from now and then from certain players. And he's actually been pretty good, but tonight he really just did let up on that play, and it wasn't close. Bruce, um, you mentioned that he's been hurt, and I just want to give a couple stats that I think highlight
Hmm.
that,
Okay.
because I think he's been hurt pretty much all year
Yeah.
or
I do
early
too.
into the season.
Yeah.
So last year, people know that we record grade A shots and who makes the contributions to them. And it's actually fairly easy to record. I have a high degree of confidence in these numbers that they're significant. And so last year, Bruce, McDavid averaged 6.9 major contributions to grade A shots per game. 6.9. I think that was, the best number he's had. He's been in the early sixes, low sixes before. 6.9 is just out of this world good. And of those 6.9, they were 3.1 grade A shots per game himself on net each game. 3.1 each game. Connor McDavid, 3 grade A shots
Off his own stick.
off his own stick.
Hmm.
And the other 3.8 were assists, or generally
Right.
speaking, with McDavid. This
Yeah.
year, he's at 1.3 grade A shots per game. So down from 3.1 to 1.3 grade A shots per
Wow.
game, and down from 6.9 major contributions to grade A shots per game to 4.9 overall. This game, he just had two,
Yeah. Two
two
for
major
and two against.
contributions. And something, it's hard to know what's up. It just seems like something in his arms or core.
Mhm.
He's having trouble with dexterity with the puck. That's obvious, and these numbers
Mhm.
certainly reflect that. So, um, all that said, it doesn't stop you
Mm.
from back checking.
No, no, that's why I'm being like I'm aware of clearly there's something to miss, but it does not excuse, uh, you know, not back checking in a an odd man rush,
Yeah,
you know.
Bruce, I'll go through my two bad things in order here because
Okay.
they happen on the first and second goals against, and they really. You're playing a tired Dallas team back to back. You can't have this happen. Don't give up the first goal, especially on a play like this. And I just written a really nice article post about Cody Ceci, how you never, he was always in position this year, not making mistakes, not making mental errors. And what does he do? 9 minutes into the game, bad pinch. The puck
Mm-hmm.
He's at the blue line. There's a battle on the boards with Hyman and 2 stars, and Hyman loses. The puck pops out, and for a second it looks like Cece might be able to get it, but he hesitates a moment and then he decides to go for it. And by the time he goes for it, the Dallas player gets it, pops it by him, and it's 2-on-1 and a goal against. With Matt Duchene scoring. Just a mental error. I mean, Hyman lost the physical battle. Stuart Skinner kind of lost a physical, a battle, in not stopping the shot, although Duchene's quite a strong scorer. But Cody Cece, he knows better than the risk reward on that play. It wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And you don't do it then. And he knows that. So anyway, he doesn't make that kind of mistake often. So I'm not going to make too much of it. But the second goal against the Oilers do claw their way back. It's 1-1. We're early in the second period now, 1-1 in a game. And Philip Broberg wins the puck, takes it out, and fails to dump it in deep. And there was one or two guys on him right there. He was on his backhand, and he didn't get it deep. You know what? That's a physical error. That happens. These are mistakes that happen. What the rest of the team should do is realize, oh, he didn't get it in deep. Not a great time to change. Dallas is in full possession of the puck. They're ripping up the ice. Not a great time to change off. But what does Dylan Holloway do? He does something he's done a number of times. Instead of like falling back to cover, he should have noticed in the first place, okay, Philip Broberg's rushing. I'm actually going to fill in on defense for him, because that's what forwards do when defensemen rush the puck up the ice. One of them goes back, and that's me on this play. I'm the last forward back. I'm going to cover for him. So he shouldn't have been trying to change off anyway. That shouldn't have been on his mind. It should be, I'm covering for Philip Broberg.
Until
but
the puck is
that's
deep.
not on his head. He decides, I'm going to go change off. I'm going to get off the ice here and just leave one defenseman out there, whatever, come what may. And they're rushing up the ice. They're actually rushing past him, and he's still going to change off.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest mental mistakes of the year, and it wasn't mentioned on the TV at all. It was all about Broberg, which is fair enough. Broberg made the mistake, but come on, like that was I would have benched not Broberg. I would have benched Holloway the rest of the game for that. He's got to break that habit, because he's done it before, and he's not getting it.
Yeah.
Bruce, what do you say?
Well, this is Dylan Holloway's 60th game in the NHL. He's got 3 goals, right? So if you're going to score one every 20 games, then you need to be pretty good at defense. You need to put your head into it. And David, I'm pretty sure this is the 4th time in the 2 years that we've attributed an opposing goal to a bad line change by Dylan Holloway, always in the second period on the long change, which this one was, and where he was in position. I remember there was one in LA last year. He was the only guy in the middle of the ice, and he just sort of, I'm just going to go off, while they had the puck, and the defenseman just went wham right up the middle with a stretch pass, bam, goal.
Is that in the playoffs or regular season?
No, that was in the season. He didn't play in the playoffs. And then there was one earlier this year where he was on the left wing on the offensive blue line, but on the penalty box side, and he skated all the way across to make a line change when the other team had the puck. This is the mistake. You can't make a line change when the other team has the puck, and unless they're like way behind their own net and just setting up. But if they've just recovered the puck and have it in the neutral zone or near the neutral zone, and they're ready to come on the counterattack, get your head in the game, man. And it's baffling, and it's worrisome to me that not only are we still seeing rookie mistakes, we're seeing the same mistake. And it's also worrisome to me that, as you say, he spent about maybe 5 minutes on the bench after that, which is not that uncommon for him. But Philip Broberg got 2 more shifts the rest of the game, and Holloway was, he played 11 minutes in the end. He got a decent night's work, had a couple of decent chances, couldn't finish them, of course, and wound up that the one play he made that actually impacted the scoreboard was that horrible line change. And Boy, anyway, that was a goal for anybody who says, wonders why coaches shake their heads at young players. These were the two ELC guys on the Oilers that both made a horrendous mistake on the same play, and it wound up in the net. And so,
He made one of those plays last year against Tampa Bay, and
hmm
the other one against Nashville,
okay, wasn't the Kings,
according
eh?
to our records.
Okay, I'm remembering one against the Kings.
Maybe,
All right.
I'm just wondering if it's in the playoffs. Anyway,
No, he didn't play in the
oh,
playoffs.
you're saying he
So,
didn't play in the playoffs. Sorry,
no,
my mistake again.
no.
All right, yeah, Bruce. I like the player. I like his
He's
energy. I think he's
promising.
got some skill. He seems to have skill with the puck even, and he almost scored tonight. He had a nice little shot on net on a rebound play, shorthanded. But you can't make that play. Like again, the whole problem is he just didn't cover for Broberg in the first place. If he just been
Right.
in position, he would have realized, oh,
It was a long shift. It was a minute and
yeah,
23
fair
that he'd
enough.
been out there.
Yeah,
But he was signaling to the bench that he was changing up at from his own blue line. He was sort of coasting off to the bench, and then Broberg turned the puck over, and he saw it, and he sort of hesitated for a second. It was like, just screw it, I'm going off. And of course, the guy that came on in his place, whoever was the poor unfortunate that wound up with the -1 on the play, had no chance on the 3-on-1 that Dallas ruthlessly bare. But Dallas scored 3 goals off odd man rushes in this game.
they
Two
did,
on one and two 3-on-1s, I think it was,
and then they
and
had a
then one that
four on
was kind
two.
of a fluke. That
Yeah.
that was.
All right, Bruce, what's your second bad thing?
Well, I'm going to point the finger at Coach Jay Woodcroft tonight, and uh, I have a few issues with him. Some of which I just described, uh, but it's about Sam Gagner, who was the inspiration for Edmonton's comeback in this game. He scored twice. He set up a great chance by a deflection by Kane with 3 minutes left in the third period. And then he got a 20-second shift with 2.5 minutes left. And then he never saw the ice again. And I get the names of the 6 guys who were on the ice at the end, right? Bouchard, who was dangerous certainly in this game, and Kane, who earned his time in the last uh, on the 6-on-5. But the other guys, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, and Draisaitl, none of them did as much offensively in this game as Sam Gagner did in half the ice time. Gagner played 13 minutes tonight. We had him as contributing to 7 grade A shots in that time, one
Wow.
against. Officially, he had 5 shots on net, 3 hits, and was 5 out of 6 on the face-off dot. Like he was feeling it, and he was the guy who led the charge on the comeback. And I don't understand how they don't find a way to get him on the ice with 2-minute goalie pull at the end of the game. And yet there he is sitting on the bench watching as the same guys who haven't been scoring all game continue to not score down the stretch. And I get that it would be tough to bench Leon Draisaitl with the goalie out. I'm not sure that
How about
I
Nuge
I would have had him out there over Hyman myself,
or Hyman?
who did very little in this game to my eye. But the coach, rather than responding to the game, he sort of went, "Well, here's my list of 6 guys for the goalie pull, and they're going to be out there, no hell or high water. They're out there." And I think that was a coaching mistake. And to me, it was on a number of levels. Like, reward the guy who's making stuff happen, and maybe disreward somebody who isn't making much happen.
Yeah, Nuge is a similar player, like a smaller finesse player. They could have put Gagne out instead of Nuge, who didn't have a great game necessarily. I mean, Nuge was fine. He wasn't terrible or anything, but you're right. They didn't have a whistle. They might have got Gagne out if they had a whistle. So there was that. Like there was a long stretch there, almost 2 minutes, I think, at the end where there was no whistle. So
Right.
maybe he was wanting to get him out, but just didn't get the opportunity. But yeah. Bruce, what is your number?
Oh, what was my number? I
There you
had
go.
one. You go first.
Okay, you mentioned there was three
Oh,
rush
okay.
goals against the
Yeah.
Oilers tonight. For the season now, Bruce, the Oilers have just been getting absolutely killed on the rush. Tonight it was starting to remind me of the last days of Dave Tippett, where they just were giving up rush chance after rush chance, just getting sliced wide open. Now Woodcroft isn't in that position right now. He's got a few more months at least to get this team going, but they've got to figure this out, Bruce. And they've changed the defensive system, and I personally find it frustrating that this team, which didn't execute well the man-on-man last year, couldn't execute the zone either. Now they're back to the man-on-man. We're going to get two men in the corner and centers being late to the slot. We'll see how that goes. I'm just a little bit disenchanted with the Oilers in terms of their defensive play, and I'm wondering if they're ever going to figure it out defensively. I am, for the first time, really wondering that if this team can do it, and if they'll squander what they've got because they can't. And the prime exhibit A is not their defensive zone play; it's on the rush here. It's
Yeah.
outscored 16-6 this year on rush goals at
Mm,
even strength. 16-6.
brutal.
That's my number. And how can that happen with this team and the players they have rushing the puck? They got Ryan, like, other than McDavid and Draisaitl, they also have like some guys like Holloway, McLeod, Fogle, Hyman. These guys can all rush and go to the net. They've got Bouchard, with his stretch
Mhm.
passes. Darnell Nurse can make some nice passes, but they're getting beat 16-6, and most of it, Bruce, is mental errors. It is mental error after mental error after mental error, and it is killing this team. And you just think after a while they get tired of making mental mistakes. They just make up your mind like, okay, I'm going to cheat for defense tonight when the other team has the puck and is rushing it up the ice. I'm just going to, and I know you don't want to take away from what makes you good. You can't stop what makes you good, which is the Oilers' aggression. But you do have to stop making those mental errors that are leading to odd man rushes. And the Oilers are just, they're sinking in it right now. And will they get out of it? I don't know. I don't have I'm starting not to have a sense of optimism about that. I'm wondering about the defensive commitment of this team.
Yeah. Well, like I say, 3 goals on odd man rushes tonight. So, you know, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 3-on-2 was the other one. And then the other goal, the kind of fluky one where Hintz was alone at the side to tap home rebound, where Pavelski tipped it just as Nurse was trying to clear it, and it kind of hit the hosel of Nurse's stick and went right on net. And Skinner was able to make that save, but Hintz, I think Dallas had Oilers outnumbered on that play as well, and Nurse was trying to make an emergency clear. He was the one guy back on the first 2 goals when first CC and then Broberg got caught way up the ice. And then on the 3-on-2, I mean, he did make a mistake on the third goal. Nurse did, but it was a forced mistake by the crafty Joe Pavelski. And then on the fourth goal, that was the one where, well, Dallas just made 3-on-2, and they just sliced through the Oilers like nothing. Hintz made a, was it Hintz again, or was it? Oh, yeah, it was Hintz that scored the winner. And he passed it off, and he just blasted right by Bouchard and went right to the net. And nobody went with him, and he tapped it in.
Bouchard looked really
Too
bad on that play
easy.
too.
Too easy.
Yeah,
You
Bouchard
know.
was asleep. He's
Yeah.
having his little
So.
old man nap there.
hmm
Wasn't
So
good.
I've got my number, and this is going to make some people mad, but I do have a point that I'm going to get to. Expected goals in this game, just those 2 words together, enrage some people. Expected goals by the Oilers tonight, 5.36, of which they actually converted 3 into goals. Dallas, 2.6, of which they converted 4 into actual goals. So the Oilers were expected to score more than 2/3 of the goals in this game based on the flow of play, the shots, where the shots came from. And this is getting to be old. Like I'm hearing all the Oilers' fancy stats are so good, it's just a matter of time. And I've been saying it myself to some degree. But I'm watching this game and I'm thinking, in many ways they deserve to lose this game because they couldn't execute when they did have decent shots in close to the net. They couldn't execute defensively. They couldn't get a save when they really needed a big stop. There wasn't none forthcoming. And they got beat by a backup goaltender again. And I'm saying that the fancy stats aren't all that they're cracked up to be. Like in this game, it's they account for where the shots came from, but they don't account for, the freedom that the Dallas guys had to tap home their goals. The two that Gagner got. Let's just say there was no freedom. He had to go hard and battle to get and get a little bit lucky, in fact, to get it in. But they got in because he went hard to the blue paint. And otherwise, it wasn't the Oilers creating 2 and 3 on ones. And the expected goals formula maybe falls a little short in terms of
What was their
what really
numbers
happened.
again? What was the numbers again?
5.36 for the Oilers. Let's call it 5.4 to 2.6.
So
5 point, like more than double.
our grade A shots were 15 to 10
Yep.
and 8 to 7 for 5 alarm shots. So our expected
Yeah.
goals was 4 to 3. A
For
closer
Edmonton.
game for the Oilers. 4 to 3 for the Oilers was
Yeah.
our expected goals. And it was 4 to 3 for Dallas. So that's
Right.
well within the puck luck, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
the expected goals formula here was off by almost 4 goals. Like it had the Oilers winning by nearly 3 and actually losing by 1. I mean, they did outshoot them at 49 to 27, and all of the Oilers had 98 shot attempts and Dallas had 42. You know, but they missed the net twice and Edmonton missed the net 23 times. 23 misses to 2.
Bruce, we had the Oilers when the Stars were up 4 to 1, they were up 10 to 8 on grade
Mhm.
A shots according to our account.
And then the
So
Oilers got,
that's what I think you're getting at. Like in the
well,
heart
that's
of the
part of it.
game, in
Yeah.
the real game, the
Mhm.
Stars had more grade A shots than the Oilers.
Mhm.
And then the Oilers had this little burst at the end of
Score
score
effects.
effects. They came on and got a bunch of shots in grade A shots as well. But when the game counted, it was 10 to 8 in grade A shots, with the Stars having more of the most dangerous scoring shots as well. Bruce, our conundrum tonight is so Connor Brown looks like he might be hurt.
Mhm.
Let's just assume he is.
Mhm.
Um, it didn't look good actually, even though he came
Mhm.
back on the ice. It looks like I'm guessing some groin thing
Well,
or
he came back to test it and then he skated right back off again.
yeah. Um, is it time to like Philip Broberg is struggling? He looks tentative with the puck to me. It's time to send him down and call up a forward. Or if Brown's out, I guess if Brown's out, obviously you call up. You might
Well, you can't
you put him on the
unless
IR.
he's on LTIR. If he's on short-term injured reserve, you can't replace him. His still counts against the cap. It's only if he goes on to 10-game long-term injured reserve
They're gonna have
that
no choice then. If he's just injured and can't play, they'll have no choice but to send Broberg down and call up a forward.
maybe.
I mean,
Or just
Desharnais.
keep going 11-7 if Janmark and bring Janmark back. But
Well, if he is healthy, you're right.
and if he's healthy, and if he's not, well, guess what? You got 19 players again, just like you did in the first game of the season, with 2 guys hurt on your 21-man streamlined roster.
Yeah. So that's a conundrum. What do you do with this roster? I guess we can't really say until we know Janmark and Brown what their health status is.
Right.
But if Brown can't go and Janmark can't go, I think you have to then
You have to do
send down the
something.
defense. And
Yeah. Well,
Broberg's
one.
the obvious one because he's not playing well and he's also still on his EL entry level contract, so he doesn't have to be waived. So
One solution which I suggested on my weekly radio spot with low tide yesterday was that if Ryan McLeod doesn't get his act together, and if he's still dealing with some kind of injury, you alter him for a while, and then you can call up two guys to replace him because he makes $2 million. But I'm happy to report, and this should have been said earlier, that McLeod had a fine game tonight,
Best game of
and
the year by
and
far for
by
Ryan McLeod.
far he had 3 shots on net, raising his season total to 8. He had 3 hits. He had 2 takeaways. He was 9-2 on the face-off dot, and most importantly, he was just involved in the game. Very nice to see. And Oilers need that desperately. And unfortunately, in this game, it was the first line that let him down with no goals or points.
He made a major contribution to 7 grade A shots, Ryan
Wow.
McLeod, in this game, and just a major mistake on just 1 against.
Same as Gagner, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So he boy, do they need him to produce, to score. At least they did get some bottom line scoring tonight, but if the Oilers have Draisaitl and McDavid, not even their B games, their C games, even on the power play, Bruce, they were out of sync and couldn't get anything going, really. The most dangerous thing on the power play was Bouchard's shot. They just couldn't. So on a night when you have McDavid and Draisaitl playing like that, it's just so hard to win because they don't capitalize on the power plays, which are so important. And at even strength, they were a liability.
Right. Well, we had McDavid, Hyman, and Draisaitl combining on 7 grade A chances, as in 2 or 3 for each man. And they each played like 25, even 26 minutes, 23 for Hyman. And then we got McLeod and Gagner on the second power play, and playing half the minutes. And they each were involved in 7.
Yeah.
So this was a very topsy-turvy and upside-down game, which was kind of why I was not too thrilled with the choice of players in the extra man situation. I understand why, and maybe it's a political thing within the team. You go with the guys you trust, but it did not pay off tonight. And the guys that were making things happen were except for Kane, sitting on the bench. Except for Kane and Bouchard, who rang all 3 goalposts in the second period. He hit the left post, he hit the crossbar, and he hit the right post. Ding, ding, ding.
I will say this: I was about as sour as I've been in years about the Oilers during this game. Honestly, It was just. But when Gagner started to play well, it reminded me of why I'm a fan still. It really lifted my spirits and made me think, oh, this is so much fun. Like, this is what hockey's all about. And they said at the broadcast booth that this is the loudest Oilers fans have been all year. Well, no, little one. I mean, maybe in the Commonwealth Stadium they were pretty loud too. But that really was fantastic. That was just really special for Sam Gagner and special for Oilers fans. And man, if this guy can keep it up, maybe you can give him what we were hoping Connor Brown would give him, which is one more guy who can chip in. I mean, if Gagner has significantly been held back by injuries and he can somehow avoid them this year, which is a big if when you're that age in the NHL, I mean, it could be really exciting that the Oilers will get, some production out of this guy. And, he seems a bit more defensively responsible, which has never been his forte. But he seems like he's aware of his role on the team. And man, was he going for it? He threw that big hit on Heiskanen, and he looked like a more physical Sam Gagner, which again is kind of risky at 34 in the NHL.
Mason Marchment out of his jaw.
Yeah. He's always been really good with the puck and super smart with the puck. He could fit in. You could see him fitting in, in a top 6 role for a few games and holding his own at least, because the guy can make plays if he's fast, if he's quick. And he looks like he's quick again. So it was really special.
He's certainly hungry, and that's what stood out tonight was his hunger to score. Hopefully it's catching.
Same with Kane.
Because the Oilers aren't scoring, and it's sad. I mean, they played 4 games now at Rogers Place. They're 0-3-1, and what have they scored? 8 goals combined in the 4 games, and they've given up 3, 6, 10, 14.
Well, Bruce, since Kane responded so well to you ripping him like that, I
Now
think you
maybe I
need to
should
write a
rip someone else, eh?
McDavid and Draisaitl need a good dressing down, and you're the man to do it. So get on that, Bruce.
All right. Well, I got tomorrow's post. I'll think about that.
All
But
right.
we've done a little bit of it right here on this podcast. So
Bring out the big
if
guns,
that
man.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We're
anyways,
always
there.
careful about what we say about about McDavid, especially. Like, I
Well,
mean, I never want to attack him because the effort's always there with Connor McDavid, right? But it wasn't there on that play. So what can we
yeah,
say,
I'm
Bruce?
frustrated by that. You know.
What did Ryan say about the Oilers this year? This team sucks.
Who
Put
said
out a
that?
tweet. Ryan Whitney,
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
Oilers fan, the famous Oilers fan, former
Mm-hmm.
player on Spit and Chicklets. And
Mm-hmm.
then he retracted it this week. He says, this team really doesn't suck. I was just in a bad mood saying that.
Right. Okay.
But I
Well,
was thinking, no,
I
this
don't think they suck, but I do think they got to get their crap together and start playing like a team. Like I was watching this game and I'm thinking, don't all these guys know each other? Like, don't they have the whole damn gang back from last year, pretty much?
what about the captain skate? Didn't they familiarize themselves with each other, one another, and go out for pizza and all that stuff?
Yeah.
You know what? It's so much. It's easier said than done. I do think fundamentally the problem with this team heading into this year was overconfidence, and it
Oh,
played and it's played out in a lack of desperation.
yeah.
There was just so much familiarity, friendship. We got this. We're headed to the cup. Instead of like desperate guys thinking, I've got to do everything I can to earn my job in the NHL. And there
Well,
wasn't much of that.
the focus was on the playoffs. It's like, well, what we do in the regular season doesn't matter. It's what we're going to do in the playoffs. Well, what do you do in the regular season? Sure, in the hell does matter if you don't make the playoffs. And I think that we've seen a little bit of this, um, slow starts to the season. Certainly 2-6-1, but slow starts in many games, which tonight is just yet another example. They said on TV that any game they've given up the first goal, they've lost all of those games.
I thought it was
And
the reverse Jack Jinx. I was hoping that it would work out for the Oilers,
mm,
him saying that. All right, Bruce, let's
enough
leave it there.
said.
Well, you're gearing up though. I can see the smoke coming from your ears. You're sharpening your pencils and you're getting ready to write that post tomorrow where you just let it rip like you never
Good
have
thing I'm
before.
not writing the grades tonight, I'm thinking. We'll see what Kurt comes up with. I'm guessing a real good game for Gagner and less good games for some of the other fellows we've mentioned here.
I think so. All right. Bruce, thanks for talking.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.